right, and Todd.
Yeah, Coach, wanted to get your thoughts on what has led to Malik's impressive improvement. Footwork's better, he's got more square moves. Can you kind of take me through that development process of getting him to the point he's playing at?
This summer, he put a lot of work in. He never really left campus. Got his weight down. The baby fat that he had last year is trimmed down, and so you just got to tip your hat to him. He put the work in this summer. It's paying off.
Todd on your right, Mike.
Mike, Roddy Gale and Bruce Thornton were 0 for 12 over here to your right, Mike. They were 0 for 12 from three-point range. Ohio State only hit 2 threes in the second half. What made the three-point defense better, especially after halftime?
Well, it wasn't like we were touching them. I thought our defense from the 15-minute mark on was pretty good, but the second chance shots that they got, they had good looks. We were so awful rebounding the ball tonight. And they had good looks on spraying the ball back out. It was just bouncing funny and we couldn't come up with it. But for the most part, when we were setting in our half-court defense, we were pretty good in terms of switching up and touching and making sure guys weren't just facing up shooting threes in our face.
Mike on your left, and Tom.
Yeah, Mike, you were blunt in your kind of assessment of Xavier's play against Nebraska. Did you feel like it was being a step healthier today, or do you feel like he was kind of motivated to kind of erase that game?
Well, you can blame me a little bit because, again, he hadn't had much floor time in practice. And, I just didn't want to blow him out the first game. And, he was a little irritated at me, and I get that because I only played him 14 minutes, but his 14 minutes was awful. I don't care how you look at it. You get 14 minutes, you got to be positive and do some things to help us win the game, and he didn't do that. And today I told him I'd shoot around and I was going to play him, let him loose, and I thought he was huge tonight. I gave him the game ball, him and CJ both, because I thought CJ was excellent coming off the bench.
Tom on your left, and Seth.
Mike, you got 18 points out of X tonight too, and in 34 minutes you didn't have a single turnover, and you only had 4 as a team. I mean, after what you went through with the turnovers Wednesday night, how do you explain going from 19 to 4 against a team that's just as aggressive defensively?
It brings a smile to my face. That's all I can tell you. That was miserable sitting through that in Nebraska, just giving them the basketball. And, we talked about it. We watched the game when we came back as a team. And after I watched it a couple times, it was awful. But we rebounded from it and learned from it, and only had 4 turnovers today, which is kind of nice.
Seth, row 2, and then Jack.
Coach, you brought up CJ before, and obviously he gave you some really big minutes off the bench, and big part of the improved backcourt play as a whole. Just what allowed him to come in and be so impactful tonight?
His last few days of practice has been tremendous, and I'm telling all these guys, it's how you practice, man, that carries over into a real basketball game. And if you don't bring it in practice, you're not going to bring it in the game. I've always believed that. And I thought the last 2 days our practice was tough because I wasn't real happy about the Nebraska play and how we played. But he had two good days, man, and I thought he deserved to play. And I thought he responded, which was kind of nice.
Jack, row 2, and Daniel.
Yeah, Mike, sticking with CJ, what do you think it'll take for him to kind of stack together more consistent performances like he did tonight? We've seen him do it like at Michigan, but, kind of had a lull there.
A lot of it is just, these young guys, it's the mental part of it. Knowing exactly what we're doing when we go into a game setting and putting the game plan together. It's mentally, your mental approach has got to be on par. And if I don't see that, then how can I have confidence in playing you? And I thought these last 2 days he was right on par, man, in terms of what we wanted. Caleb as well. He didn't play as much, but I thought tonight, I was going to play him. I came into the game with the attitude I was going to play them both. And CJ stepped up and gave us some important minutes tonight.
Daniel in front, we'll wrap with Monty.
Revisiting rebounding, I think they had 49. You guys finished with 27. Why do you feel like the gap was that big tonight?
A lot of it was because how the ball was bouncing off the rim, and the big fella Felix he had a lot to do with it. I mean, he kept balls alive, and I told Ware and Malik, they were awful tonight in rebounding the basketball. Their bigs basically kicked our butts in terms of going to the glass, and you're not going to beat a lot of teams in the Big Ten with that kind of margin in terms of rebounding. We got away with it tonight, but we got to be much better as we go to Rutgers.
Monty?
Woody, you talk to a lot of players, whether it be visitors or home, and they always talk about the crowd gave us inspiration. The Nebraska players talked about the way the crowd motivated them, and Ware talked about the crowd, the way it motivated the Nebraska players. What do you have to do when you go on the road to get the crowd out of the game and just play basketball and get the crowd out of the game?
I can't ask the crowd to stay home, that's for damn sure. I wish I could, but I just think you gotta have a mental toughness about yourself. Just like we played the last 15 minutes of this ball game, that's what you gotta take to the road. And somehow I gotta get our team understanding that. And you gotta do that for 40 minutes, not just 15 minutes. So it's on me some, but I gotta get these guys to understand what it's like to play on the road and win on the road.
All right, thanks, Coach.